So, I just wanted to share my thoughts on why, at this point, I am not ready to get the COVID vaccination. It is not that I am anti-vax. You know, as a kid, I got all my vaccines, and, as a parent, my kids have all received all their vaccines. So it's not that I'm anti-vax. It's not because Joe Biden's president. It's not because Donald Trump was the one who did warp speed. It has really nothing to do with that. I'll tell you why. As we know, when President Trump had begun warp speed, everyone mocked him, said, no way you're going to get a vaccine in less than 2 to 5 years. And, as we know, the president, through cutting red tape and getting the adequate funding to expedite things, a vaccine, came out quicker than, most people thought was possible. And that's to his credit. Now, the Democrats when they found out that vaccine was coming, they then shifted gears from saying Trump was, no way was he going to do this stuff. He's a liar. He's all these other, nasty things. To, well, I'm not going to take it because Donald Trump is making it. They basically portrayed it like Donald Trump was sitting in the Oval Office with little beakers making a vaccine. And this is what they did. They started poisoning the minds of a lot of people. The left-wing media got on the news and they were like, Donald Trump's going to test on black people like the Tuskegee Airmen. And this was all the left-wing media. They were all saying it. Even, Joe Biden, and I know Kamala Harris, said that. And, Joe Biden and Kamala Harris both said, well, I'm not taking it if Donald Trump told me to. I don't trust him. Well, Donald Trump didn't make the vaccine. But see, then they poisoned all these people against it. Well, of course, now we know, Joe Biden slides into office, basically takes credit for the vaccine, and now all of a sudden, well, we need to make sure, it's mandatory. Everybody takes it. Got to take it. It's the best thing since sliced bread. This is awesome. Well, here's some of the problems I got. Okay? First of all, that vaccine came to market so quick. There's no way they did any type of real testing. And I'll give you, for instance, we find out that, I believe it was Pfizer and some of the other ones purposely excluded previously COVID positive patients, people who recovered from COVID. They purposely excluded them from the trials. Why? Well, I think we're starting to see the evidence why. The CDC comes out and says, and let's look at this. We keep being told it's safe, and it's effective. It's safe and effective. If you don't take it, you're killing people. Well, if this vaccine is so damn safe, why the hell did they give blanket immunity to all the vaccine manufacturers against any type of lawsuit for harm that it may cause? Pharmaceutical manufacturers get sued all the time for things from talcum powder to painkillers. So why insulate them? If it's so safe, why not? Why not allow them to be sued, for harm that it does? There wasn't long-term testing because they didn't take the time. We find out that, one of the number one side effects to the vaccine is a fever. Okay, that's expected with most any vaccine. But they don't tell you that, women in the first trimester of pregnancy, so if you don't know that you're pregnant, you run a noticeably increased chance of birth defects in the first month of pregnancy. Well, I haven't heard anyone talk. We're just saying it's safe. Take the jab. Shut up and do your job. Take it. Well, so has that been studied? Do we know what the effects are of, men and women who are vaccinated on their the next generation of children that are to be born? This isn't your typical vaccine like your polio vaccine. It's completely new technology. It's more along, the lines of, genetic. I mean, it's down at the nitty gritty. I mean, are we going to have a bunch of mutant kids possibly? Are there going to be birth defects? Are we going to basically give birth to a whole generation of winter soldier, super soldier types? I mean, we don't know. Why? There's been no long-term testing. And you're like, well, that's just weird. You're just worrying about nothing. Well, no, there's justification for that question, and here it is. You can go to the CDC website and look at the side effects of the anthrax vaccine. The anthrax vaccine was mandated for soldiers during the first Gulf War in the early 90s. We were told the same thing, hey, it was safe, it was effective, it's all this other stuff. And you look at the short-term side effects, it's, soreness, swelling, redness, localized, a pain in the arm where the injection was given, pretty much like any vaccine. But then you look at the long-term side effects of the anthrax vaccine. It's infertility, lupus, multiple sclerosis, all the way up to paralysis. That's what they found out as a consequence of the long-term exposure to the anthrax vaccine. Well, good grief. If someone said, hey, you're a healthy 28-year-old person, if you were to contract COVID, you're in such an extremely low risk of getting sick, let alone dying. Would you get the vaccine knowing that long term you could have some pretty nasty side effects? Well, shouldn't you have that information? Shouldn't that data be available so that individuals can make the best informed decision they can? The CDC has reported that breakthrough cases of COVID for those who are vaccinated are 1% or less. But the very exact same vaccines that we use in the United States are used in the United Kingdom. And they have a 40 or 40+% breakthrough rate. Now, why is it that the UK is having so many more cases of people that were vaccinated contracting COVID? 40% at least. So that means, it's only 60% effective. But we were told it was, 97, 98% effective. Well, now we're starting to see perhaps why they excluded previously COVID positive patients from their tests, because maybe it's not that effective. But there's more. It's now been reported that the CDC is not recording breakthrough cases unless it results in hospitalization or death. Well, the UK counts every single case. So I got to ask myself, why the hell is the CDC withholding information or skewing information? See, this is the reason why I'm not getting the vaccine yet. I don't have enough information to make a good, intelligent decision. Not to mention, you saw all these people, Biden and Harris and all these people running around fully vaccinated, still wearing masks. Well, if it's effective, why are you wearing a mask? Well, again, now, case in point, 50 some odd Democrats that fled Texas, it's been on the news, and went out there to DC. Well, 6 of them have contracted COVID despite being vaccinated, fully vaccinated. Well, hell's bells. That tells me right there, 50 people, 6 got it. It's over 10% breakthrough rate. Not to mention the other people at the White House and members of Congress, staffers catching it, people at the Border Patrol that have been vaccinated. They've had several dozen of them come down with COVID. So just how good is this stuff? Well, now it's being talked about, well, you may need a 3rd shot and a 4th shot. Well, and they're even talking about making it an annual shot. So, it's just, we're getting lied to. We're not getting the full story. They're skewing results. They're withholding information. And that causes alarm in me. Again, it's not because I'm anti-vax. It's I don't have the information. And when someone's lying and withholding information from you, how can you make an educated decision? Look, I wouldn't have taken this. Look, even though I supported Trump, I still wouldn't take the vaccine. It has nothing to do with Trump. It has nothing to do with Biden. It has everything to do with the lack of information or the skewed information that's being put out there. They did this to themselves. This isn't a Republican or Democrat issue. Well, we know, Black Americans vote Democrat overwhelmingly, 80, 90%. But yet they're the lowest in vaccination rate. That has nothing to do with Donald Trump. That has everything to do with, you sat there and told that segment of America during the Trump administration that they're just using you as guinea pigs. Well, now your rhetoric has come back to bite you in the butt, hasn't it? So anyway, that's my perspective from a person that hasn't received the vaccine but is not anti-vax. Before I make a decision to inject something in my body, I just want to have all the facts. And that's just the truth. So I don't know if this video will be torn down by Google because they don't like people to question their authority on this, but I'm just giving you a perspective from someone out here that is just looking at this vaccine objectively. Again, I've been vaccinated as a kid. My kids were vaccinated. If this was truly safe and effective and I had the data that put my mind at ease, yeah, I'd get vaccinated. But here we go. Anyway, let's see how long this gets to stay up before they tear it down. But I appreciate you watching. Share your comments. I'd love to hear them.